Okay.
It's like we never left.
Laptop on.
Laptop fired up. And we were just talking right before we hit all the record buttons. I'm like, it is freezing in here.
These headphones are cold.
Everything.
I can feel my ears freezing putting them on.
that soft gel, like
no, this doesn't work well when it's significantly below body temperature.
It's funny because normally, like, that's when people put those on, I'm like, oh, it's a feature, because normally it's hot. It's 118 degrees out. And then we're like, oh, if we put these headphones on, I was like, it combats like sweaty ear because it's nice and cool. And right now you're like, it's freezing.
Yeah, so if people haven't guessed, we're sitting here in our studio and it is not the warmest place in the building.
No, and granted, other people are sitting with snow outside or whatever, and we're sitting here at 60 degrees outside.
Woolly jumper.
I know. I was contemplating. I have one more like hoodie in my office, and I was like, would it look ridiculous to wear like just padded layer after padded layer?
I know.
But anyway, I don't know. We're back, and I'm sort of thinking, I'm like, all right, I know there's a danger of saying this. We'll keep it short today.
Okay, what do we consider short? 20 minutes? 30 minutes?
Well, let's aim for 20 minutes.
Hey, Sean, 20 minutes.
God, I don't know. I feel embarrassed saying this because I'm like, even as the words leave my mouth, I'm like, oh, this is going to be an hour and 10 minutes plus. No. We'll keep it short. Because also with the holidays and stuff like that around, I thought this would be fun. We'll get some content in. We'll get some stuff out there. Yep. Because I know also as people are moving around, doing stuff, whatever, just in your normal podcast, listening, things change. So hey, why not have more opportunities for longer and shorter stuff?
Yep.
So yeah, should we just
straight in?
Let's just jump in. All right. Well, I'm Sean Leahy, joined by
Andrew Maynard.
And we're both trying to stay warm with it, which means, hey, you're listening to Modem Futura, the show that explores the intersection of technology, society, and the possible, probable, and preferable futures.
This is what happens when you're short.
I'm getting so cold, I can't even get the words out. Right. Asking deep questions like, what will it mean to be human in the future? Assuming we're not frozen solid in the next ice age here.
Well, the answer is a block of ice, yes.
Oh, God, that just brought back so many funny memories of like these terrible movies like Encino Man.
Right.
Did you ever see that movie back?
No.
Oh my gosh. That was just such a ridiculous movie with Pauly Shore and Brendan Fraser and Sean Astin of all people.
Oh, wow. Goodness.
So like, yeah, it's funny when you go think about that. You're like, okay, comedy guy, the Mummy action hero guy, and Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's just what a funny, and none of them, it was yeah.
Okay, this is going to be one of those random shows. I can tell
it is
already.
It is. Well, and also I think, okay, so the focus of today is, I think we could categorize this as another episode against the warnings of AI slop.
Yes.
But taking the other viewpoint, so not really being like AI is bad or AI whatever, but really about that the craft and care in modern design is as important as ever.
Yes.
And I bring this up because I recently became very infatuated.
Obsessed, I think is the word.
I was going to say, or read obsessed right. Over the new Apple TV logo.
Yes.
So if you're not familiar, most people probably are familiar with Apple TV, but I forget when Apple TV started. 5 years ago?
Oh, no. Way longer than that.
Apple TV Plus, it's 5 years ago?
I thought it was longer than that.
6 years?
We've had sets for years.
Yeah, but I mean the actual streaming service.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So like the Apple TV, so it is a little confusing.
You're right. Actually, yes, because you had the box and then you had the service.
So that's actually, you raise a good point. So let me clarify this. So Apple has, and I should state this right from the beginning, we are not supported by Apple. We do not get anything from Apple. This is all Sean's
obsession
of something. But Apple has had a couple of products called Apple TV, which one of them is the actual hardware device, which is this very small
little box
that is a entertainment box that has things on it. Originally, it had all of the apps for like movies and TV shows and iTunes and music, and then all the third-party stuff like Netflix and Amazon and blah, 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 blah. And then eventually, I need to look up, I'm going to look it up right now, actually. Like, when did Apple TV Plus
Because
start?
They started their own streaming service. So now, and again, I'm sure most people are familiar with this. They make their own shows. They stream them on this platform. There's a fairly sort of extensive platform.
Yeah, and I was right. It's not. I wasn't too far off. It was 2019.
Wow, I would have put it way before then.
Because see, for me, I remember it being like the thing during COVID.
Yeah.
Like I remember I have an association.
They got that right, got it out just before everybody was sitting at
Everyone
home looking for
binge,
stuff to watch.
Right?
Yes.
But so there's Apple TV, the hardware, and then came Apple TV Plus at the time, which was their streaming service, which was their version of Netflix and their internal studio, which led with, lots of different things like the morning. I'm trying to think of those early ones. It was like the morning show, and a whole bunch of others. Because the problem is their catalog has gotten huge.
Yes.
So originally their streaming service started, and it didn't have a lot because they did not do what Netflix did, which was just go out and buy a whole catalog of every rerun show and movie, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
They really
pretty discerning.
Yeah, they started from scratch. So
they did buy Charlie Brown.
They did. Yes, they did. Which, I mean, by the time this airs, it'll be too late for the Thanksgiving one.
Yeah, but the Christmas one will be coming along.
Yep.
Yes.
And they do still allow for a weekend of free viewing, whether you own it or not, to see the Charlie Brown stuff. But yes, I think that might be one of the only, I'm trying to think if they own any other property. I don't know.
Yeah.
But most notably, they did not buy back catalogs of stuff. So it started fairly, scant compared to the other streamers, but over time has built up and has built itself a reputation of being a very premier place. And I've listened to a lot of industry folks also talk about people who work on production crews and stuff. And apparently from other sources, like working on a show, whether it's a movie or a series on Apple TV, is like one of the best experiences.
Interesting.
Because apparently when they greenlight these projects, they go all in. And so they're
serious about it.
Yep. And so, with all these sort of production things, you're always up against cost or time and in how apparently nice it is to work for a production company who's like, yep, okay, do it. Make it the best we can. And it's paid off. I mean, they've had quite a few successes in terms of their shows, also new feature films, all this kind of stuff. All right.
Anyway, but
so fast forward. So that's that's Apple TV and Apple TV Plus, the service.
Yes.
But just recently, during the first couple weeks of November, they had announced that they had updated the logo. They dropped the plus.
Yes.
So it's no longer Apple TV Plus. It's just Apple TV.
Okay.
And of course, with that came the fancy word is a new mnemonic. Otherwise known as a logo. Logo with sound.
It's the thing you see on the screen.
That's right.
Whenever, in fact, when you see it at the beginning of their programs, the stuff that they've created.
Yep.
Do you see it anywhere else, or it's?
No. So, and if you're thinking like, what is that? So think about anything. HBO is probably one of the most famous ones. When you first get that HBO and then you see the logo.
Yes,
Netflix, it's the same thing with the lines, with the
yeah.
And so the mnemonic is basically just an animated logo, or like in different parts of industry, you might also call it a sting or something like that. But it's essentially a animated logo with audio.
Right.
That's it. It's very simple.
Yes.
But those tend to be some of the most iconic things because you have instant brand recognition with those. I mean, again, if you can think of those and you hear it in your mind, that's exactly what we're talking about. Yep.
Yes.
And so now, and they had a very simple, it was just a, black screen with the white Apple TV, and it had a little, almost like a little, it wasn't like quite a sun flare, but it was like a little like reflective kind of animation that went across it.
Right. Yes.
But now they replaced it with something, again, it's on a black field the static logo has a little bit of color saturation to it towards the bottom and things like that. It's a pleasing looking logo.
Yep.
The little animation, however, and you've seen this, the new one, right? Okay.
Yes.
So the new animated one is very nice. It starts off sort of zoomed in, and it sort of has this kind of color flip while the chime plays, which is a very pleasing tone. And then it sort of fades to the static icon, and you might look at that and just it passes you by in just a heartbeat. And you're like,
I mean, I did because I didn't know the backstory.
Yeah.
Which we're going to get to in a minute.
Yes.
And everything is going to sort of coalesce together. But I thought, that's pretty.
Nice.
It's interesting, but nothing special.
Yep. And that's where my obsession began. Because again, you see these things and you're like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. And to be fair, I also know this from just the past when Apple has done a lot of different marketing elements or stuff like that. You have what is on the screen, which can be enjoyable or not, depending on your opinion, to an extent. But then what has always fascinated me is to dig into the behind the scenes of how they do this. Because there was an ad, I don't remember which iPhone it was, but it was an ad that just kind of had all these really cool visuals that was being, on screen while they were talking about the materials and these things. And then revealing the behind the scenes of how, again, even back then, how much of these things was done with like practical effects and paint and all this kind of stuff.
So just to tee this up. So we're now living in an era where AI is involved with everything. So when you see this, the assumption maybe for a lot of people, that was just 10 minutes sitting down with generative AI sort of creating this. Because surely that's what everybody does now. Why spend hundreds of hours creating something that's on the screen for a few seconds when AI will generate it in a few seconds?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the point here is this was not AI, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So that is exactly the point. I feel like, in this digital landscape where we're just overflowing with AI, and we've talked about this before.
Yes.
We've got a lot of episodes. AI slop, synthetic users, nonstop digital noise. I mean, it's hard to get away from the clankers.
We haven't used that for a couple of words.
The clankers, exactly. And that, and of course, in a company like Apple or any other companies that are at the top, sort of like certainly a company that has a valuation of over $1 trillion, right? They have access to the most fanciest computer graphics you could ever ask for, right? But what was fascinating to me about this, and again, this is where it sort of triggered a lot of things with me. One, it's the attention to detail. It is the human curation, the anti-slop. But then also, most importantly, it is that element of care. Again, coming back to this idea of care. And this is not new when you look at anything artistic, right? You have the finished product, and that alone has its value. But to me, ultimately, the thing that I usually tend to resonate the most with is when you learn what the story is.
What's gone into it.
What's gone into
very human side of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I'm somebody, we've talked about this before too. On this show, even our logo, our title, I love things that have deeper meaning behind them. So if you look, you'll find it. And so that was one of the, so now you can start to see how I'm starting to get obsessed with this, something very simple. And now this logo, they have a few versions in terms of length. And so there's like the 5-second version one. I think there's a 10-second version one if it's a feature film. But basically, depending on the content and where they put it, it has a few slight variations in terms of its duration. The other piece to note is the audio that goes with this mnemonic was handcrafted by Finneas of the famous brother and producer of Billie Eilish. Who, I feel like that pairing, they've done a lot of work with Apple before on a lot of stuff, right? But yeah, and so there's a great, I'll link it in our show notes too. There's a great Variety magazine article, interview of him of talking about like the pressures and how to make, when you have all this like music producing background and you have all these complexities, how to make something that's 2 seconds long. And in that 2 seconds, like there's the beauty of the minimalism of this. Because in that 2 seconds, you have to ground people audibly. Like this is Apple, and also the pressure. Apple is one of those companies that has long had such a famous mnemonic with the original Chime. With the boot up Chime.
And I find this so amazing, delightfully amazing, that there is so much attention being put on something that is not only just 2 seconds long, but it's just effectively a tone. You can imagine them all sitting around and saying, boom, no, not quite right.
Nope. Bing. Nope, that's not it.
10 days later, the umpteenth boom.
No, that's not it. Nope. And I don't know what's more amusing, that or how excited I am about talking about this right now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to race to the end here.
I can see you do A/B testing.
My goodness. Yeah, this one. How about this one? Try this one on. And at what point?
There's a show in this.
Yeah, exactly. And at what point do you just go, enough? Like someone pick it. What's the difference between a bing and a bing? But it's important.
Of course.
But so so that's going on,
Yep.
right? So you're like, okay, so all these things come together. And originally, again, you look at this and you're like, oh, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Instantly, it has for me,
Right.
it had a very positive affect. I was like, I like this. I like the color. I like it. Kind of when you see the logo reveal, it almost looks like a flip book of colors.
It does.
It kind of has this like almost like you fanned a colored thing that says Apple TV.
Yep.
But then quickly I got clued into the fact that I had heard briefly that was practical.
Okay.
And then I went, whoa.
You mean it wasn't digitally created.
Right,
so it definitely wasn't AI, but still the assumption is that this is just created in digital space, digital artists.
So I get excited in different tiers. Yep. One, if it's not AI.
And believe me, I'm in tears already.
I get excited when it's not AI. And then when it's not even CG, when it's practical,
right? Yes.
Now you're talking, because that means what this is. When we say practical, meaning like a practical effect, meaning that it was done in front of a camera.
They actually constructed something
actually
and filmed
did this
it.
and filmed it, and it wasn't something that was just created whole cloth digitally.
It's like Tom Cruise doing his own stunts. It's the Apple version of Tom Cruise. This.
Yes. And so when you see, and again, there are many movies and many adaptations and many things that use CG very well.
Yes.
My opinion, it's always best served when you can't tell it's there. Versus there's many examples where it's obvious and it feels like a sticker sock puppet. Right. And you're like, come on. However, so instantly that really got me excited to just dig into this, to see what was the goal behind it. Phenomenal. So again, I will link this. So if you want to look at it yourself, I'll put it in there. There was
and I love this build up. I noticed we're at minute 16 and you haven't even got to the reveal yet.
See, I'm building. We're
going to get to sort of 19 minutes and 55 seconds, and you can say, "Oh,
and we're out." But so now I've lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Well, I'll link it. So Ad Age had the behind the scenes video, but essentially what's revealed when you look into how did they actually create this. So again, the tone was created by Finneas, and they had that. So the actual logo was it's frosted glass, which is, it's about like 2 feet or so tall. So it's large.
So it's a big piece of glass.
It's a big piece of frosted glass, suspended with armature so that it can rotate, and that it is lit with different colors. Because even from a
so even those different colors, they're not actually different physical objects. It's just the same thing.
Same object that rotates. So again, if you want to do this practically, the best way is you want to keep everything the same.
Yep.
Right. So the rotation is the same, and all they're doing is changing the color of the lights that are passing through the frosted glass. Because even when you look at that, if you were thinking, oh, CG, whatever, the way that the light essentially plays through the medium.
So how close do you sit to your TV, Shaw?
Embarrassingly close. Well, you can watch it on your computer too.
I guess,
right in front of your face.
Right, your nose right there.
I watch it on my Apple Vision Pro, man. That thing was 40 feet tall.
I can see you at home getting really excited saying, the pixels have changed. The pixels have changed.
Yes. Do you understand how hard it is to get the colors to play with light through a medium in a computer generated, but so what you quickly reveal is that this is a practical glass logo that is rotated and lit with the different colors of the lights that you see in the finished product, and then just composited all together.
Right. Yes.
And so, of course, they do use some compositing tools to remove like the frames and the things like that.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's the whole thing is beautifully done.
Yep.
And in the end, you just have this, very brief. I think for the most TV shows, I think it's 5 seconds that this whole thing plays.
Yep.
And in that 5 seconds, what speaks and what I get so excited about is the way that it positions itself. One, you're like, cool, the bug, it tells me I'm in for Apple TV product. By now, I'm also associating that with high quality TV shows and all this kind of stuff. But then on top of that, there's that depth of, this is an example of an intentional design by humans to not draw attention to the fact that it was created by humans, just to get it the way we want it, and to do it with care and with intent and with a beautiful design.
It comes back to that idea of care, that the stuff that people don't see but nevertheless matters.
Absolutely, and and I couldn't help but also I feel like this is maybe one of the most recent good examples. And there's a quote often sort of attributed to Steve Jobs about, and I don't remember where the original quote came from, where he talks about painting the backside of the fence.
Right, and we used this before.
Yeah, but there is a 1994 quote from a magazine interview he did with Wired magazine And I have the quote here. The quote is, when you're a carpenter making a beautiful chest of drawers, you're not going to use a piece of plywood at the back, even though it faces the wall no one will ever see. You'll know it's there, and you're going to use a beautiful piece of wood on the back for you to sleep well at night. The aesthetic, the quality has to be carried all the way through.
Yeah.
And again, that is a piece that I think a lot of people have either by directly or indirectly with just the meaning behind it have picked up on. And to me, this little tiny 5-second logo is exactly an example of that quality, of that care, following it all the way through.
And that professional pride. The
craftsmanship.
Yes.
The professional pride. That's exactly it.
So what I find so interesting about this is the link to the recent book, AI and the Art of Being Human. Because we did use AI, but the whole point of it was trying to tease out what it truly means to be human in terms of the value and the meaning you put into things. And it's this craftsmanship, that it's this ability to be an artisan in terms of what you do. So what you produce with care, reflects something deeply within you. It doesn't necessarily have to be seen, but there's a connection between your humanity and the thing that comes out. And even with that book, this is such a shallow connection compared to what you've just described, but you look at 2 or 3 aspects of the book, including the front cover. We very intentionally did not use artificial intelligence in creating that front cover because I wanted this to be something that was innately human and had that craft behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, given the growing backlash that we're seeing, which is, I think, natural, fighting the hype and all the other stuff that's being force-fed everybody, is I do think, and again, Apple doesn't even make mention that it was that they didn't. They didn't even talk about it, right? It's people as nerds like me who are like, let's talk about this. But I think that's what's important. It's not that AI is or isn't used. It is that if it is used, it's used to facilitate exactly what you wanted it to be. And not you just put in a thing and kind of carelessly went, here it is.
But I think this infuses through everything we see at the moment, because it is so easy, so frictionless to use AI that you're increasingly seeing people not put the care into things. I mean, even something as trivial as email responses. This actually seems to be normalized these days, that people use ChatGPT or something else like that to craft responses to emails. But if you're on the receiving end of that, you don't just want a transaction. You want a connection to a real person, and you want to feel as if there's more than just words and intent behind there.
Absolutely.
So this is where I think more and more people are beginning to realize that human care is critically important.
And I have to wonder, Apple, of course, they're doing their own thing, but I have to wonder for them, for others, if down the line, what you'll start to see is people selecting where they spend their precious, one of their most precious commodities we have is our time. And I feel myself drawn this way, but I don't know if I'm, where I stack, am I alone? I don't know. But more and more people choosing to spend their time where they feel that content is the human curation, the human effort, the human.
It's authentic. It has more meaning behind it than just the shallow stuff you see in front of you.
And I think to kind of wrap things up too, because I know we wanted to keep this one short. Because
I can't believe this. You are wrapping up. So
it's like one more thing, and then you've got
a meeting, haven't you? You're just trying to get out of here.
I got to warm up, man. So the other piece, I will bring this back too, because in some of the evidence of this, right, I think will be interesting, again, as new shows drop, how many of them will take efforts to identify if they use, how do they use, especially in the Hollywood scene, because that is also building quickly with, I forget the Tillwood, Molly...
The AI
actress, something Tillwood, I forget. But that's a churning piece as well. And so it's also related to Apple, and it's one of my core missions. I want to get you watching Pluribus.
I know, yes.
Okay. But interestingly, so on the very first episode, zero spoilers. The 4th episode was released this week. I am absolutely in love with this show.
Should make it clear. This is Pluribus, the new Apple series.
The new Apple series by creator and director Vince Gilligan from Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and X-Files. But in the title sequence. So at the very end of the episode, when you're seeing all the credits, I even flagged it in case anyone wants to check. It's at minute 57 and 6 seconds. So you can scrub right to it. At the bottom of,
we'll get you some help after this show. Trust me.
I think I'm too far gone, my friend. I don't know. But very intentionally, the very last piece here, I'll tip it over here so you can see.
Right,
it says this show is made by humans. And which is interesting.
Fascinating.
Yes.
That is beginning to come in.
That is beginning to come in to a point. And since then, Vince Gilligan has had interviews where they've asked him about this.
Yep.
And his thing was, he doesn't have any shade against people who are using it, but he just wanted to be clear that this show was not done with artificial intelligence, that it was made by humans. And even, which is interesting to learn as well, that even the show itself, he wrote the original sort of outlines and stuff for the show almost 10 years ago.
Right.
So he wrote it before there was any, ChatGPT going like, what kind of screenplay can I write for you?
Yep.
And so it's just interesting. And again, when I'm starting to see these signals pile up, right, that tells me that this is something to pay attention to, that we are seeing, it's not just a gut feeling. I think we are really seeing a shift in, again, in signaling at the very least that, hey, this is pure human, because we're drowning in a sea of things that are just endlessly created. And how do I make sure my thing stands out?
And I am so interested to see how this plays out. So I'm exactly the same. I'm finding with my work more and more, I'm leaning into what I do, what is my craft, what is my skill, rather than the AI, and taking pride in that. And I'd like to think that other people are doing that as well. But of course, you know what people are like. It's quite possible that the majority of folks out there just say, AI slop, it's just something else. I can't be bothered.
Yeah, I know. It really is a thing. But anyway, I was like, again.
So I guess the call to action this week is go and watch the logo and watch it close.
Watch it close.
And pay attention and appreciate the care and the humanity.
And you can impress/annoy everyone in your family around you by your new knowledge of how
pointing at it and saying, did you know that's real?
That's not CGI. That's practical and real.
You realize 6 months from now, there's going to be the scandalous reveal when somebody says, actually, it's all CGI.
Well, right. Like, actually, that behind the scenes, that whole thing was Sora 2.
That's right. Yes.
And it's like, we're just in a recursive,
I know.
simulated horror. Oh my goodness. Yeah. No, tons of fun. And like I said, I will plug. Like I said, I'm only 3 episodes into Pluribus, but I will highly recommend that if people are looking for a holiday binge to watch or whatever. Highly worth it. I enjoy it.
Okay.
So fantastic. Well, thanks for indulging me on my my little divergent.
I have to get my magnifying glass and my screen out to scrutinize it in detail.
There you go. And just a reminder for all of our listeners, I will put the links to the behind the scenes thing. I'll put all those links in the show notes. So if you want to go look for yourself and see it, that way you don't have to have an Apple TV subscription to see anything. I'll put it out right there so you can have a look for yourself. I guess that's probably it.
Yep.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, and again, also just again, another call to action to all of our either new or, longtime listeners to, again, just help us promote the show and get us out there. We're seeing a lot of great uptake in terms of new listeners, but we always want more.
We're hungry.
We're hungry for more. But the best way to do that, of course, is to like, follow, or subscribe, depending on what your player allows. But leave us a rating and review and get us out there, because,
tell us what you think. Get in touch.
Those AI slot machines need to know who we are to be able to push our content in front of new, unsuspecting victims. I mean, new customers. I mean, new users. I mean,
yes. Of course, as you sort of struggle with all of this, we're going to have our end tagline made by humans. We are still human.
Clearly, because no AI would make it that sloppy.
Right, I know.
Oh, fantastic. Well, from myself and from Andrew, thank you so much. And we'll see everybody on the next episode of Modem Futura.
We'll see you then.
End transmission.